Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Yasodanandana Brajadhanaranjana Jaya Brajadhanaranjana Yasodanandana Brajadhanaranjana Jaya Brajadhanaranjana Yasodanandana Brajadhanaranjana Jaya Brajadhanaranjana Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopirana Bhalabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Gopirana Bhalabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Gopirana Bhalabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Yasodanandana Raja Dhanarandana Jaya Raja Dhanarandana Yasodanandana Raja Dhanarandana Jaya Raja Dhanarandana Yamunatiravachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunatiravachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhangsa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Satushi Shiman His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hariva Slava Zabrani Bhakta Slava Shri Gurui Shri Gurangi Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Shri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyadyade Siddharna Om Agyanna Tivarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sadgurjatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Prajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Svitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchina Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitinanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3, Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender, Text 32. Sontak Sarasya Saras Yurubalena Grihitarto Drishva Gurut Mati Harim Ka Upata Chakram Ukshipya Sambuja Karam Giram Aha Krichran Narayana Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste Sontak Saras Yurubalena Grihita Arto Drishva Gurut Mati Harim Ka Upata Chakram Ukshipya Sambuja Bhakaram Giram Aha Krichran Narayana Kila Kuro Bhagavan Namaste Mataji. Sa He Gajendra Anta Sarasi in the water Uru Balena with great force Grihita who had been captured by the crocodile Arta and severely suffering Drishtva Pansing Garutmati on the back of Garuda Harim the Lord K in the sky Upata Chakram wielding his disc Ukshiptya raising Saambuja Karam his trunk along with the lotus flower Giram Aha uttered the words Krishati Krishrat with great difficulty because of his precarious position. Narayana, O my Lord, Narayan. Akila Guru, O universal Lord. Bhagavan, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namakte, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Gajendra had been forcibly captured by the crocodile in the water and was feeling acute pain. But when he saw that Narayan, wielding his disc, was coming in the sky on the back of Garuda, he immediately took a lotus flower in his trunk, and with great difficulty, due to his painful condition, he uttered the following words. O my Lord Narayan, Master of the Universe, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. The king of the elephants was so very eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead that when he saw the Lord coming in the sky with great pain and in a feeble voice, he offered respect to the Lord. A devotee does not consider a dangerous position to be dangerous. For in such a dangerous position, he can fervently pray to the Lord in great ecstasy. Thus the devotee regards danger as a good opportunity. Tate nukampam susamikshamaanaha. When a devotee is in great danger, he sees that danger to be a great mercy of the Lord, because it is an opportunity to think of the Lord very sincerely and with undiverted attention. Tate nukampam susamikshamaano Bunjana evatmakritam vipakam. The Bhagavatam 10:14-8. He does not accuse the Supreme Personality of Godhead for having let his devotee fall into such a dangerous condition. Rather, he considers that dangerous condition to be due to his past misdeeds, and he takes it as an opportunity to pray to the Lord and offer thanks for having been given such an opportunity. When a devotee lives in this way, his salvation, his going back home, back to Godhead, is guaranteed. We can see that this be true from the example of Gajendra, who anxiously prayed to the Lord and thus received an immediate chance to return home back to Godhead. And the last verse in the chapter. Thereafter, seeing Gajendra in such an aggrieved position, the unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, immediately got down from the back of Garuda by his causeless mercy and pulled the king of the elephants along with the crocodile out of the water. Then in the presence of all the demigods who were looking on, the Lord severed the crocodile's mouth from its body with his disc. In this way he saved Gajendra, king of the elephants. Gajendra had been forcibly captured by the crocodile in the water and was feeling acute pain. When he saw that Narayan, wielding his disc, was coming in the sky on the back of Garuda, he immediately took a lotus flower in his trunk, and with great difficulty, due to his painful condition, he uttered the following words: O my Lord Narayan, Master of the universe, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyatyade Sadarane. This is a very important point, that the results we get from our situation will depend upon our vision. As it says here, Tate Nukampam Su Samikshamano. So Su means good, actually means wide, full, uninterfered with. Just like we have the word Sukha and Dukkha. So Su means, Ka means space. So when the space is unimpeded, it's called Sukha. Like in the body, if the channels are blocked and we become constipated, then it's called dukkha, blocking. The space is blocked and we feel terrible. And when the space is open, the energies flow in the body, it's called sukha. We feel light, happy, carefree, or happy. So Su means open, light, happy, whatever. And Iksha, Sama means completely. So not just partially, that we see things a little bit, we're open a little bit, we're completely open. And Iksha means to see. So when we see everything completely open as it really is in Krishna consciousness, then mana, then the mind becomes filled with Krishna consciousness. And when the mind is filled with Krishna consciousness, and we see everything properly, then bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. We know that nothing's happening by accident. It's all Krishna's arrangement, and Krishna's arranging things to, one way or another, encourage the living entities to go back to the spiritual world. When he slaps the living entity with Maya, that means that the living entity turns his face away from Krishna. Krishna, bahira mukha boga vanchatare, nikatasta tare japiti adare. That when the living entity turns his face away from Krishna, then Maya slaps the living entity down. So, suffering in the material world is because we've turned away from Krishna, and now Maya is slapping us to turn us back to Krishna. Not just for the sake of slapping us, but to encourage us to stop turning our face away from Krishna. Prabhupada gives the analogy that the prisoner, some criminal is captured, they have him strapped onto the chair, the prison guard is beating him, slapping him across the face, and he's declaring, I'm free, you can't touch me. I can do whatever I want. He may declare like that, but actually he's completely controlled by the guard, and the guard is slapping him. Similarly, the living entity may declare himself to be free. He can do whatever he wants in the material world, but he can't stop old age, disease, and death, and then having to take birth again and get the results of his activities. He can't stop the threefold miseries. He can't stop the fourfold miseries. He may falsely think himself to be independent, but he's completely controlled by the material energy. Therefore, one should see things properly. Then one will not blame Krishna. Why does Krishna put me this suffering? That actually Krishna puts all living entities in suffering, which is the material world, so they can turn and take shelter of Krishna. This is shown in all the different Swayambhu, Narada, Sambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlada, Janako, Bhishmo, Vayar, Vayasakir, Vayam. All the great Mahajans, they show us how in the midst of difficulty we can turn to Krishna. Vishan Mahagne Purushara Darshanam, that Bhima was fed poison, but actually turned out that after Bhima was fed poison by the Kauravas, then he actually got more strength, because they threw him into a lake full of venomous snakes who started to bite him and who counteracted the poison. And then he was taken by the servants of Varuna down to the lower, to meet Varuna, who gave him elixirs that made him stronger than 10,000 elephants. So although it seemed rather stressful that Bhima was fed so much Kalakuta poison, but still it actually served for the benefit, or for his benefit in the Krishna's pastimes. Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshan Ahat Mahagne. So the Pandavas were put into a house made out of lac, flammable material. Actually, flammable is an interesting word in English. Inflammable and flammable means the same thing. Both mean flammable. But they were put into a house made of material that catches on fire quite easily, set on blaze, but still they escaped. They escaped into the forest where Purushada, where they were met by a meat-eating, human being eating cannibal, Rakshasa, Hidimba, wanted to immediately eat them for supper. But still it turned out good, because he sent his sister Hindimbi, who fell in love with Bhima, and they had a son named Gotakach, who eventually saved Arjuna. Vishan Mahagne Purushara Darshanam Asat Asabaya, and Draupadi tried to be stripped naked in the vicious assembly headed by Duryodhana. Still, it turned out ultimately to be Bhima killed Dushashan and wiped out the Kauravas. Asada Sabaya, Vanavana Krishata, and they were put into the forest. They were banished to the forest for 14 years. But during that time, Arjuna collected so many weapons, so many things happened that was favorable for the Kauravas, so that when they finally got to fight against for the Pandavas, that they were well prepared when they had to fight against the Kauravas. Vanavana Kricha, Mride Neka, Maharatastra. So finally, practically the war was over. Duryodhana was practically on his deathbed. And still Ashwatthama threw a Brahmastra. Mride Yena Maharata Dronyascha Yasmat Paravarikshataha. So Krishna saved them. He came, entered into the womb of Uttara, the Pandavas counteracted the weapons of the Brahmastras sent by Ashwatthama, and ultimately they were established in their kingdom with Yudhisthira as the emperor of the world. Yudhisthira was not the emperor of just this little tiny world that we're in. He is the emperor of all of Jambudvip, which includes Kimpurusha, Varsha, Ketumala, Varsha, so many, which Bhardvarsha, that we're in a little tiny part of Bhardvarsha, just a fraction of it. And all these other Varshas are much, much bigger than the whole of Bhardvarsha. And he was the emperor of the whole Varshas, because Arjuna went to to Kimpurush of Arsha in order to conquer the land there. Similarly, they went to Ketumala, Varsha, and the other Varshas in order to conquer Jambudvip. So they were established as the king, the emperor, of not just a little tract of land called Bharatvarsha nowadays, but all of Jambudvip. And still, Queen Kunti prayed that Mravi Padak Shantu Tak Shasvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Babata Darshanam Yasyad Apamar Babadarshanam. We want calamities. We don't want this nice situation. Sometimes the Pandavas would discuss how we could create problems for ourselves, or these called false flags. How we could create a false flag so that Krishna will come and try and save us, so we can get Krishna's association. We want to see false flags again and again, because then Krishna will come and save us, and we can see him again and again, and there'll be no more seeing of repeated birth and death. But what they didn't want is Janmaishvarya, Shruta Shribir, Edamanak Madakpuman, Naivahatya Vadatum Vai, Tvam Akinchana Gochara. What they didn't want is to hanker for material assets. It's not that Yudhisthira Maharaj thought, now I have Jambudvip, what about Plakshadvip? It's next door, just have to cross over a small ocean. And then we can get Plakshadvip, and then Samantadvip, and who knows? Maybe I'll get all of Bhumandala, and then we can go for Brahmaloka afterwards. No, he was happy, actually, simply trying to serve Krishna in the little spot of land in this universe called Jambudvip. And he didn't want Janma, better birth, Aishvarya, more wealth, Shruta, material learning, or Shribi, material beauty and influence. Actually, Queen Kunti said that these things are just like poison for the soul, hankering for them. Of course, if they come of their own accord, there's no problem. Idricha lavasantushto, dvanvatito vimatsaraha, samaksiraval siddhal chakripapina nabhajya. One who's satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord. That is, if things just come to us, then that's by Krishna's arrangement, then we try to utilize these things in Krishna's service. Of course, we don't accept everything that comes. Prabhupada was walking down the street in San Francisco on the pier, and one fisherman came up with a fish he had just caught and offered it to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada didn't say, thank you very much, I'll see if Krishna will accept it. No, he said, no, you thank you very much, you enjoy. And then Prabhupada walked further down with his disciples that he was with and said, and suffer. So it's not that we're accepting everything, but things that are offerable to Krishna. But we don't hanker for more wealth or beauty, or for material reputation, or for better material birth. We don't hanker for these things. If they come of their own accord, then we can try to utilize them in Krishna's service. In any case, Dukeshu Vamanagmanak, Sukeshu Vigatas Priha, Vita Raga Vayakroda, Stita Dira Muni Uchate. So, Dukeshu, again, there's words Dukeshu Vanagmanak, Dukeshu Anuvigna, anxiety. And not only just anxiety, Anuvigna, and constant anxiety, comes one after another. Constant unhappiness due to anxiety in the mind. Sukeshu Vigatas Priha. But one doesn't become overly elated when there's happiness. Vita Raga Bayakroda, who's free from attachment, fear and anger, Stita Pragyasta Tochide. Then he's known as a sage of steady intelligence. So when there's difficulty, again, the devotee, he knows that the difficulty is due do my past misdeeds, but Krishna is just giving me a pinprick so that I give up my attachment to whatever has caused those misdeeds. And Sukeshu Vigatas Spriha. And when one is put into a favorable condition, he thinks this is a better opportunity to serve Krishna. So whether it's so-called favorable or unfavorable, one remains determined in all circumstances to engage in Krishna's service with enthusiasm. And without vita, raga, bhaya, krodha, without fear especially, bhaya, krodha, frustration, anger, and raga, passion for one's own enjoyment. Then one is able to be fixed in mind and intelligence. So the king of the elephants was put in a rather distressful condition. For thousands of years, a crocodile was biting on his foot, and he was really feeling the pain. But he understood that this is a great opportunity for me to feelingly offer prayers to Krishna. And we get some credit, because we get more credit. The credit comes according to our feeling, our sincerity, and if someone's biting your foot for 10,000 years, you become really sincere. You're actually serious about trying to get out of the miseries of material existence. It's not just a theory anymore. It's realized knowledge. And then one can sincerely surrender to Krishna. Please help me. There's no other source. His wives try to help. His friends try to help. No one could actually help him. And he was losing. So he figured one last chance. So he called out for Vishnu, and Vishnu came and helped him. And therefore, just like Ajamil was calling out for his son Narayan, but then he remembered Narayan in his association with Narayan as a young boy when he was acting as Narayan's pujari. And therefore he sincerely called out for Narayan, and then the Vishnu Dutas came and helped him. When Draupadi was being disrobed, she was trying to hang on to her sari, fighting against Dushasan. In those days, the Kshatriyas were 3 meters high. No, 6 meters high, actually. They weren't small. So, I don't know how big Draupadi was. I guess she wasn't so small either, but she was no match to Dushasan. So she was hanging on to the sari, and then she was losing. And then she put up her hands and surrendered to Krishna, and Krishna became her sari, unlimited length of cloth. So we're the same way. The more we get put into a situation where we have to depend upon Krishna, the more we make spiritual advancement. And when life is too easy, then we get slack. We think, well, now it's time to enjoy. No problem. I'll get serious when it gets tough, difficult. Yes, so we can pray. We don't have to pray for difficulties. We can see in this age there's nothing but difficulty. And if we don't think it's difficult enough yet, just wait a little while. Don't worry, it's going to get even more difficult. And we can pray to Krishna even more sincerely. And by doing so, as we'll find out, according to this title here, Gajendra returns to the spiritual world. So I guess he was already in the spiritual world, otherwise how can he return there? So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that, and as you explained, that in difficulty devotee turns with a fervent attitude to pray to the Lord. But sometimes a devotee will pray, or we will pray for the improvement, to the Lord to improve this situation, and then we may remain in the controlling mentality. We try just to remove the suffering instead of accepting Krishna's plan. How to avoid this pitfall? How to pray properly to Krishna, not to control him or the situation, but to actually surrender.
Experience, hear the story of Gajendra and other stories, and then get experience. As Prahlad Maharaj said yesterday or the day before, Balasyaneha Sharanam Pitaro Nishinga. Yes, Krishna may save us, we may get relief from the pain, but then there will be another problem coming up. So an intelligent person thinks, is there any relief from all the problems? So that's a jnani. So if we follow the process, take shelter of Krishna, gradually we'll become jnanis. Maybe after many births and deaths, or maybe immediately if we're intelligent. Yes.
And this story with Draupadi sometimes seems like an encouragement not to make an effort, because she first made the effort, and then as long as she was trying, Krishna didn't seem to be inclined to help. And only when she stopped, Krishna helped.
Well, the thing is, you shouldn't make half an effort. Either you should pray completely to Krishna when you realize you can't do anything. Just like Vasudeva, when he offered to hand over the child to Krishna, his newborn child to Krishna, to Kamsa, it was because he had no other choice. He couldn't stop Kamsa from killing his wife. So in that situation, he used his intelligence and did what was necessary, although it was painful. Now, if he could have, fought against Kamsa, but he would have lost. That wasn't the plan, and then his wife would have been killed anyhow. So under the circumstances, Draupadi couldn't stop Dushasana, even if she tried. But she could fervently pray to Krishna and just leave it up to him in hopelessness or helplessness, and then see what Krishna would do. Yes, Avaduta Roy.
How to remain dependent on Krishna when many devotees have to mix with the members of Asura Varnashrama, like Bhishma? Will not the mixed circumstances give mixed consciousness?
Not necessarily. If you're doing it for Krishna, if you see things in Krishna consciousness and you do things for Krishna, then it won't be affected. Depends on what our motivation is. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to me. The true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized soul sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. And for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to me. When Haridas Thakur was put before the Qazi, the Qazi was speaking to him about how he should convert to become back to become a Muslim again. Haridas Thakur just saw the Qazi as being a representative of the illusory energy, and he wasn't affected by his words. Anything else?
There's one more. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, as a rule for Vanaprasta's rights, one should not depend on others for one's personal maintenance, as this will create a debt that can only be repaid by taking another birth. So the question, is this applicable for any Varna and Ashrama? Or is this a rule only for those who are non-devotee Vanaprastas?
Well, it depends. If you're taking service and you use that energy in Krishna's service, then you're just acting as an instrument for Krishna. But if you forget Krishna, anyone who forgets Krishna Varnashram, no Varnashram. If you forget Krishna, then you're responsible for the results of the activity. Therefore, mat karma krit, mat paramo, mat varda sangitaha, evara sarabhuteshu, mat bhakti sangavarjitaha. One who gives up the results of it, mat karma krit, mat paramo. My dear Arjuna, one engages in my pure devotional service, freed from the contaminations of fruit activities, mental speculation. He who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of life, is friendly to all living entities, certainly comes to me. Or actually even better than that is chapter 4. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned out by the fire of perfect knowledge. So if we do everything for Krishna, then we won't get any reactions for our work. And if whatever we don't do for Krishna, we'll get a reaction for it. All right. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Khwala, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.